Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror PSA presented by Scary Nerd, and as always, we are your hosts. I'm Paul.
I'm Saul.
And I'm Angie.
The following is a public service announcement.
After his friend is killed by her abusive father, the new kid in town attempts to save her by implanting robotic microchips into her brain. We watched Wes Craven's Upgrade. 1986 Deadly Friend. This was a first for me.
Oh my goodness.
It was a first for me.
That little intro didn't even explain the magic of this film that has BB.
Mimi.
Come on, BB.
Mimi.
There's a fucking robot in this movie, you guys.
Okay, BB.
Andrew,
Go ahead.
Andrew, was this your first time too, or no?
Yes, I have never seen this fantastic film.
So it's the first time for all of us.
Yes. Right off the bat, I have to say this movie is bananas, Bananas, and it makes no sense, but it is fun. It is so much fun.
Yes, this movie is batshit fucking crazy, and I do have to say, because we are probably going to rag on this movie a lot, because this movie is fucking ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I do have to say that there was, to Wes Craven's credit, there was a lot of studio interference in this one. They had reshoots and rewrites, and then the final version that we all got to see, Wes Craven just disowned it. He's like, this is not even my original vision whatsoever. He's like, I don't even consider this my movie anymore. So a lot of the stuff that we're going to make fun of, this is aimed at Warner Brothers, apparently, because they're the ones that meddled with this thing a few times over.
Yes, so Warner Brothers, and that's not the first time I think Warner Brothers has done that.
Yes, God forbid that Warner Brothers screwed something up.
I know.
It's been unheard of, right?
Are we going to need another Craven cut of another different movie?
I think so.
Yes, I need the Craven cut
Let's
of
talk
this.
about that deeper when we get towards the end. But yeah, I think I would love to see the Craven cut.
You can see where the themes are coming in, because the first run through I was watching it and I was like, okay, all of the adults are shit. Got it. All of these adults are terrible, and that's where he's going with that. But then, there were so many weird cuts and, weird parts to the story added in. I was like, I can't tell where this is trying to go, and it's because there's too much studio interference. So, again, don't try to follow the storyline. It's not going to make a lot of sense.
Just go on this crazy trip knowing that it is going to be a crazy trip for you.
Yes.
I went into it blindly. I did not read anything about it. The only thing that I saw was the Kristy Swanson picture on the poster. I'm like, okay, so she's going to be the weird one. I had no idea there was going to be a fucking robot in this movie.
No one has ever
all.
told me about a fucking Wes Craven movie with a robot. Why is it such a secret that there's a fucking robot in this movie? Because I had no clue either.
Because BB's a fucking pervert. That's why.
No, BB was on a murderous rampage the whole time.
That's because BB just wanted to play with Sam, and then once he was Sam, then he was like, well, this is stupid. I don't want this.
No, I'm convinced from the first scene with BB that he just wants to murder motherfucker, and he's just not allowed to because of something that is put in his processing.
No, the whole time BB just wanted to motorboat a bitch, because that's why he kept going.
No, he was
BB Abichu wanted to
BB
motorboat.
Abichu wanted to murder a bitch. When the carjacker in the first scene comes, he straight's chokes him for a bit until the guy runs away. There's another scene where he goes after that neighbor, the crazy neighbor lady, twice, just full on, well, fuck you then, and goes after her.
She stole the ball, so it's fair.
No, BB wanted to murder some dudes the whole time, and that's what. Poor Paul. It was Paul, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's Paul's fault.
It is Paul's fault. He's the programmer.
The thing, like I said, the thing that took me out of the element with this movie is the fuck that they had a robot in it.
Yeah.
They came out of fucking left field. Because again, like I said, I thought it was going to be Kristy Swanson was going to end up being the stalker friend or whatever need be. But I'm like, oh, what the fuck? We got a robot in this? I'm like, what the fuck is going to happen? And like Angie said, I thought it was going to be a murderous freaking robot the entire fucking time. When he tries to kill the robber guy, I'm like, okay, He has a taste for blood and he wants to kill.
Yes, see, that's what he was just trying to murder a person the whole time. Like
until they saw Sam, and then he was like
he started to become self-aware at some point.
Yeah, he was horny at that point.
Nope, I gotta get like he stopped responding to the remote the guy had, and he still tried to use that remote. Like what if it didn't work the first time? Why are you still pointing it?
I know, it's like it didn't work the first time, and then you put it in Sam, and now you're like, wait, the remote's not working.
Oh, but no, this BB fucking sings. He introduces himself. He beats up bad guys. He tries to murder some bitches.
Okay, right off the bat, I have to say, in that opening scene where the guy's trying to rob them in their hippie van, baby beef burgers and the Coke sign of the place that they were at. So I'm like, if Coca-Cola can sponsor baby beef burgers, then they can sponsor our podcast. So I'm waiting for a call, Coca-Cola, is all I'm saying. Because to me, baby beef burgers means that these are a bunch of veal sandwiches, or what is this, man? So give us a call, Coke.
Isn't veal lamb, though?
I think it can be cow as well.
Okay. Well, anyway, this movie, you start off with it, and it's very much cheesy 80s you would expect with a robot, right? Like it's giving you Mac and Me feels with the sponsor ads and shit, and like the robots
right off
and
the
shit.
right off the bat, BB Vision got old real fucking quick for me.
The 8-bit look and everything.
I'm like, what?
I was like, no,
this just hurts my vision to watch this.
I love how he had
BB
like
vision.
Predator vision when he was angry though, and it all went red.
BBC's red. No, BB looked to me like if Bumblebee from Transformers and Johnny Five had a baby made out of an old mailbox, that was fucking BB for me.
Yep.
BB.
And a little bit of Wall-E in there because I got a little bit of vibes from that.
BB5.
BB5.
There you go.
BB Abichu.
But crazy. This town, again, so back to the theme of all of the adults are shit, right? This town is just riddled with dickheads. Left and right. Yeah. These poor children are just on their own path throughout life because everybody's shit. Even the mom, even Paul's mom, who you're like, oh, she's nice. At least like everybody can trust her. She still doesn't call the cops when Sam is clearly getting beat. She does nothing. And I love how she's like, well, this might not be my place. Like, no, that's a child. It's everybody's place. Everybody needs to be saying something.
Okay, I called bullshit on Paul describing BB to Tom the first time when he's like, oh, he's constantly learning. I'm like, why the fuck can't he speak English then? Why is BB still talking like robotic jive,
weird
basically?
Gibberish. That weird gibberish that the only thing you can make out is BB.
My mama didn't raise no fool. I dug her rap.
It very much was a jive talking kind of like situation.
I just had airplane in my head the whole time.
Yes.
Be a bad boy.
Oh, this movie, you're going to be like, what are you even talking about? And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you because this is just in the movie. They just added layers upon layers upon layers of this movie. They play basketball with this robot.
Yeah, and again, I don't know, Paul programmed him, and that's why none of those kids could play fucking basketball. Like, they were all just awkward. I'm like, it goes over there. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Like, you're not playing keep away with a basketball. You're supposed to try to shoot it into the hoop. Come on.
BB.
And BB just tosses it completely into the bitchy neighbor. What is her name?
Mama Fratelli.
Mama Fratelli's.
It was Miss Parker in this movie.
That's
so
right.
I don't know.
But it's Mama Fratelli. We can call her Mama Fratelli.
Well, Tom was the dumbass who gave him the ball, and Paul should have known better because he knew how he built BB, and he can't throw things forward, only backwards because you see how his hands go up and down. Like, how in the hell is he going to shoot that ball into the basket?
Okay, you got Paul, who's like a brain and a computer geek, trying to build a robot to play basketball. It's not going to work. So no matter what Paul did to it, like, it wasn't going to work.
I love how too, like, Paul's like, "Go ahead, BB," and just stands there and watch. Like, do you know what's going to happen? Because like you made him. Do you know if he can play basketball?
Okay, so that was an actual robot of sorts, I guess. So I want the outtakes where it like throws the ball and it hits Tom in the face. The original Tom that was murdered in this film. That, like,
just seeing all the outtakes with the robot, I think
I was getting a lot of.
Not listening.
I was getting a lot of the perfection from Dr. Johansson because it's like you have this single mom and she's moving across the country and you're having the, or I mean, I don't know if it's across the country or whatever, but you're having them come over here so he can be basically your number 2 in this like brain class or whatever. Because that first day that he's like teaching the class, like, there's a shot where like some girl in the class just like stops and she's looking at the professor like, you fucking kidding me with this right now? Like, I have to take notes from this 16-year-old.
I know, and they all kind of look like they're hustling and like they can't keep up. And I'm like,
And like, he's going at a normal pace too. Like, I mean, it's not like he's like speeding through this lecture. I mean, I've been to fucking lectures, man. This is nothing.
Know.
Like,
you build one robot, I don't think a lot of people are gonna give you college tuition.
I don't. You build a robot.
I mean, maybe in the 80s.
Okay. Plus, when he kicked the dude on the table, he was playing with that cadaver and he made it kick the doctor. He's like, hey, doc, check this out. And he just kicked him and it was like, the doctor had this face like, oh, fuck.
No, the doc was straight like, what the fuck are we doing?
I know he was like, this is beyond, like, I mean, how frustrating is that? Because the doctor at that point is like, this kid's smarter than me and this is dangerous. So that's why I'm like, I'm totally on board. We're going to remake this movie and it's going to be dark. I will pitch this to you later because I have it all in my head already. I just want to point out the biker gang where Carl is like, was he trying to be Kiefer Sutherland and George Michael at the same time?
A standard.
I have no idea.
80s baddie.
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
Here's the thing that
what does he say?
Here's the thing that I never understood about 80s villains. Why do they all have to dress like they're the 50s greasers? All of them.
I don't know. Yeah, they always have the weird like curly hair.
And they're, I'm assuming they're in California because they, much like in Karate Kid, they were riding dirt bikes.
Yeah. Because if you look at them all, they all to me look like 50s greasers. They're wearing the denim jeans, the leather jacket, the slick back hair with a little curl in front. You see that with this guy. You see it with Karate Kid with a few of them that are looking like that. I just don't get why they all of a sudden in the 80s decided to make everybody look like 50s greasers.
Maybe in the 80s, 50s was retro and it was in to pretend like you were in the 50s when you were in the 80s, I guess. I don't know.
It could have been.
They all had their blue jeans and
their switchblades.
Yeah, their little switchblades.
Like the kid in Monster Squad.
See?
Except he had the comb. The switchblade comb.
Yeah.
I remember those. Well, let's go back a little bit where they introduced the Mama Fratelli. Because what? Paul makes friends with Tom, and he's following him around on his bike route. And then that's when we get the first introduction of Mama Fratelli, where she's got all of her yard fence stuff with the combo lock on there.
Oh, yeah. And I love how she just brings the gun out, and Tom's like, no, it's cool. She waves this at me all the time.
I'm going to collect tomorrow, bitch.
Remember, I have to come back and get money, so don't shoot me. But then when they're playing basketball later and BB sucks at basketball, he tosses the ball right into her yard in her little fenced off areas of the neighborhood.
And then they decide to do what every kid thinks that is the best idea, is to hop the fence and get their basketball back.
But BB doesn't want to leave. He wants revenge. Like, he wants to go into Mrs. Parker's yard. He's not about...
Well, he does...
He's like,
doesn't he do the predator vision and try to see inside the house?
Yeah, BB sees red. No, that's when
he sees red.
That was just him seeing red. I don't think he was trying to I don't think he's got heat signatures and shit.
No, I just think he gets. I just think that means that he's angry.
BB sees red.
He's mad. Oh.
The ball in the background when she throws it in the house, she tosses it in, and then later while she's yelling at them or whatever, you see it roll back in the background, and I'm like, she's gonna walk in and trip on that motherfucking thing right now.
Yeah, she is. But with Sam, she's kind of weirded out by BB, but not she's interested enough to come off her porch.
Well, it was weird because they almost shared a backyard kind of thing. It was a weird setup between the houses, and I know it was just the Warner Brothers studio house, and there wasn't it was just probably not real houses. I mean, there's insides and all that or whatever, but yeah, it was just really weird. And she was interested enough, like you said, and but she thought somebody was controlling BB and that sort of thing. Because that was BB mowing the fucking lawn, and he was like, BBC Chi-Chi is what I said when he was like, oh, because that's when he started doing his motorboat noises for the first time.
Now we're back to where she meets BB and Paul. And Paul's like, no, I made her. Look how cool this is.
Paul made Sam? That's not right.
No, you were... Sam thought
Paul made her?
Paul made BB.
BB's not a girl.
You don't know what BB is. BB's a robot.
They keep saying throughout the whole time, come here, boy. Come here, BB.
It's a robot.
Well, they call him a fucking dog.
Do robots have gender?
Yeah.
Well, Paul made him. Ask Paul. Maybe his name's Brian and they just call him BB for short.
Brian.
He couldn't think of a name.
That's
Billy
lame.
Bob.
Billy Bob. I like Billy
That's why they call
Bob.
him BB.
No, he would have more of a twang in his BB.
I didn't hear a twang in that.
That wasn't my twang. I'm saying he would have a twang in his BB.
Oh, okay.
Bye.
But Sam comes over later with some cookies, and I love her. She's so awkward. She's so awkward even when she's. It was like a cookie. It was a box of cookies or something.
I thought it was.
They look like moon pies to me.
Yeah, it was like a moon pie or like an ice cream sandwich kind of thing. Like I didn't know what it was, but I wrote down I wanted to bake something for you, but I couldn't because I don't have a mom and my dad beats me.
Pretty much. I know. Like all of Sam's lines are just a cry for help.
Literally, I don't think there is even especially when later when they go to get the basketball, she's the first one that's like, I'll jump the fucking fence. I ain't afraid.
I know. I don't care about my life.
My dad hits harder. My dad will hit harder than this old bitch. I don't give a fuck.
Care.
Yeah.
So after the basketball throwing thing, Sam walks back in. Well, I guess we're not there yet. Let's go back. Because that's when Sam comes over with the cookies, she nerds out in Paul's room. And she's like, this looks like the science room at school or something like that.
Hey, Paul, can I see your attic? Like, what?
Yes, and that's another weird part. That's where you really start to see the weird cuts of the story because, like, she's so into the attic and they walk up there and then it just cuts to her dad ringing the doorbell. Yeah. And, like, there's no transition whatsoever. There's nothing, like, we don't see her dad.
Scene's missing.
Yeah, it's like, what happened? Because there's no connectivity between these things. Yeah. Because the next time we see her and Paul are just running down the stairs and she's like, it's okay, we were studying.
Yeah,
we were studying.
I mean, you can really see the little bits of the story that Wes Craven originally wanted to tell in Paul's actions, in the mom and the dad and Sam's actions and everything. So it's there. And like I said, I would love to see, release the Craven cut, I guess.
Yes, so, we need a Craven cut.
Who do we talk to? Warner Brothers? God damn it. I guess.
But yeah, even so much so that like Sam just comes back later another day with a bloody nose. And I'm like, and that's when the mom was like,
are we not going to talk about the dream?
Fuck. I keep going over it. I don't know why I keep skipping it. Okay, yes, we're talking about the dream. So when Sam's dad comes to collect her, you don't see anything else except for Sam is asleep in her bed later on.
Which is another weird cut.
It is another weird cut. There's no transitions. There's no story that walks us like what's going on. It's just he picked her up and then she's asleep. Like we don't see where her dad went afterwards. Did she get beat? Like we see nothing.
Yeah, it just cuts to her in bed and all of a sudden the dad comes for probably molestation reasons. They're kind of like hinting at.
It seems that way, yes.
Because he has that one line, he's like, I'll touch you if I want to, or something like that. Like he had that line or whatever. And like,
she also says, I don't want you here. And I'm like, okay, this is weird.
And the inflection and everything. You just kind of, I think it's leading you down that path.
Yeah, but randomly, she stabs him with a vase and blood. It's just a fountain of blood that comes out of his chest.
Okay, it fooled me at first because I was like, what? No blood? Because she stabs him and nothing comes out first.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? I was so mad and ready to write down, like, what? And then I'm like, all right, now it's squirting out. Okay, you've redeemed yourself. I'm glad it was there. It had to be there. I'm glad it was delayed. You fooled me, Wes, but it was there.
And it's so weird because she wakes up and obviously it's a dream, and and then she puts her
the chair by the door,
chair in front of the door.
Listens for a while. I'm like, what else was missing here? Like there must have been a lot longer and deeper, relationship kind of story with them to like what was really going on about the abuse.
I'm convinced there's something that happened in between them leaving and her being asleep. Like there had to have been some sort of fight, some sort of thing that gave her that dream that make it make sense in some way.
like maybe he just came in and started getting drunk or something, and she's like, all right, I'm gonna go to bed and hope for the best tonight. Yeah, who knows?
Another scene missing.
Craven cut.
Craven cuts.
Yep. We need a Craven cut.
But then we get this montage of seasons, kind of, and we've settled on to Halloween now.
Halloween.
Yes, it's fall and it's Halloween, and Paul and his friends Sam and Tom, they're all out causing havoc on Halloween night.
And poor Sam, okay, and I know her costume is whatever, right? But poor Sam.
It looked like a burlap sack to me.
Yeah, okay. The whole time in this movie, I'm like, oh, poor Sam looks like she's just wearing whatever was found in like the Lost and Found. Like she's just like shit thrown together. I'm like, oh, poor Sam. No one loves you.
I know. Even her clothes that like she picks out. I'm like, is that a flannel? Is that your dad's old flannel? Like what you're wearing?
So was Paul even supposed to be dressed as anything? Because to me, all he was wearing was jeans and a hoodie.
I know they were just kind of like out, and like Sam kind of had a costume, but like
And Tom kind of had a costume. He kind of looked like a little bit of a hobo to me, but
well, apparently they're the only 3 kids on the street. So
I know, in a town full of asshole adults.
Yeah, and Carl the biker gang.
And Carl the biker gang, yeah. And BB.
Well, the other thing that I thought was funny is when they get to the old lady's house, Mama Fratelli's, and they get BB to open up the combo lock.
BB cracks the code.
Well, here's the thing that cracked me up, and I thought and it didn't make any sense to me, is when they said, "Oh, do you imagine the look on her face when we get there and she sees that we trick-or-treated on her house?" Is like she won't even recognize them. Like, bitch, really? None of you guys are wearing fucking masks.
Yeah, they were all really dumb kids.
You could tell that these kids had no friends or never created any mischief in their town or whatever, or amongst their own friends. And I'm like, the 3 of you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
No.
Because as soon as that alarm goes off and all that other shit, I'm like, you book it out there. I'm like,
no, I wrote Sam is terrible at Ding Dong Ditch.
Like, you don't go in there further into her yard that's fenced off. You go the one fucking way that you have out and get the fuck out of there. I know.
And I was like, did Sam not know what she was supposed to do when she got to the, like, when she rang the doorbell? Like, there was no, like, why would she just stand there as the alarm's going off screaming? I'm like, bitch. Run away.
Run.
Run
and she fucking trips.
She does.
And she trips and falls. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
After she screamed, like, there ain't no time.
Run.
There ain't no time. You go. You hit the doorbell and you run. You run, bitches.
These were the most 3 inept teenagers like ever.
Oh, they really were. I was very disappointed in their teenagerness.
Obviously, these kids never played Ding Dong Ditch or did any sort of mischief before, because the only thing they were doing to the cars was putting... What is it? Shaving cream on?
Oh yeah, and I thought it was funny too. They're like, we don't give a shit because we have BB. And as soon as the dude was like, "What the fuck is that?" And he was like, "We're just gonna walk away."
But then BB has murder in his eyes for Miss Parker after that alarm goes off and he sees Miss Parker.
Stop calling her Miss Parker.
Mama Fratelli.
All I can think of is Friday when you say Miss Parker, and I'm like, this is not Miss Parker.
Mama Fratelli.
BB takes a buckshot to the brain.
Oh, I put Mama Fratelli disassembles BB with her shotgun.
No, disassembles.
And then Paul is sad. Paul is so sad he has to look out the classroom window longingly.
I'm sorry, Professor Johansson. I can't give the lecture today. BB's dead.
Let's just go back a little bit to BB's murder. Here's the one thing I was telling Kim, because she was watching, she was sad. I'm like, no. BB and all of them deserve it. They were
BB was trespassing, Saul, so it's not murder. It's self-defense.
Yeah, self-defense.
He was trespassing.
You stand your ground, Mama Fratelli.
Yes. She was within her right. She had everything fenced off.
Don't start nothing, won't be nothing.
Exactly.
Okay, here's my question, and I love Mama Fratelli, all right? She's part of my childhood. More so now that I've seen this movie.
Seriously.
But how come when she yells louder, you understand her what she's saying less?
I don't know.
Because when she comes out, when she comes out, she's like, my house, my ball. You know? I'm like, all right. And then later, it's like, oh, yeah! When, before she does, I'm like, what is she saying? I don't even
Mama Fratelli,
understand.
you don't have to understand.
The more mad she gets, the less you can understand. Like, I'm sorry, but that must be the most frustrating thing, as her kid in this movie or something, or just any kid, because it's like she's yelling and you have no fucking clue what she's saying.
Oh, I'm sure you'd learn how to speak Mama Fratelli at some point.
I guess, but I haven't learned it. Even the years of watching her growing up, I've still never learned it. All I can think is Owen and is it Owen or was it? Oh, throw Mama from the train. I think his name was Owen.
Oh, I think it was, yeah.
Or is it Herman? I don't fucking know.
But
so
yes,
BB is dead.
BB is
and he
dead.
had an epic death. He had an epic death. She blew the shit. She blew him off.
She disassembled
she
him.
shot. Yeah, she disassembled him with a shotgun, like you said, and that was a justifiable death because that motherfucker was trespassing, and those dumb kids Like Paul said, why the fuck would you hide on their property?
And really,
Behind
he did
bushes, nonetheless.
He did have murder in his eyes. Like, he was coming at her.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's no doubt he would have killed Mama Fratelli had he got there.
Like,
so yeah,
he
it is
was
totally
full on like murderous rampage.
Yeah, it is totally
Mama
self-defense for Mama Fratelli. Like, she
Fratelli's,
would have died,
yeah.
like no doubt. Like,
But Paul
now
is sad. Now we're to Thanksgiving, and Sam has to get her dad drunk and sneak out of the house just to have a Thanksgiving dinner.
And Mom makes that crack about, let's hope your dad's dead to the world for the rest of the night.
I know. Doesn't call the cops. Doesn't do nothing.
You don't. And even later when like everything happens and they're outside and the mom's just like, all right, let's just go to the hospital. And like, you grab that cop right there and be like, don't listen to a word this man told you. She didn't fall.
I know. That's another thing.
Like,
Even
you testify.
when she had come over for the bloody nose, Mom was like, I don't know if this is my place. And she's just like, well, he's my dad. And that's where the adult in the situation should have been. But he doesn't get to hit you, sweetheart. Yeah. That doesn't mean that your dad just gets to beat the shit out of you just because he's your dad.
She had that line when she had that line where she said, like, what is it? Sometimes I want to run him over with a truck, but he's still my dad.
Yeah, like, honey, that's not normal.
Yeah, that's
like,
a cry for help, sweetheart. That's not a normal thing to say to your neighbor.
No, and if you need to say these things to your neighbor, if a kid says these things to you, folks,
if you're that,
say something to somebody.
If you're that neighbor, then you need to say something to somebody, and not the dad. Don't do that movie thing where you're like, well, let me go talk to your dad.
No.
So your child said you were beating on him, so maybe you should have a talk with him.
If it gets to a place where you jokingly say something about their parent being drunk and passed out so they're safe for the night, please say something.
If you include in your Thanksgiving prayer that the husband next door has got to be dead drunk asleep so they don't beat their kids.
Why are you Southern?
Oh, goodness.
Well, there's a reason for that.
The thing that I knew something bad was going to happen with her is the moment Paul kissed her and she was going back. I'm like, oh. This bitch is dead.
No, I know.
And I feel, I feel like there was probably other parts that was cut out too from there, like because it was kind of a weird exchange from that. Not between Paul and Sam, but Sam and the dad aftermath. I feel like there was more there that was probably cut as well.
Yeah,
it seemed like it because she comes back, she does the whole book thing, and sees that he's missing. I thought that you would at least see somewhere where he saw that he kissed her and pretty much make him flip the hell out and make him do what he did.
And this is how bad they are. Because right after the bat, I was like, why would you hide your books inside the house? Like, this is the dumbest thing you can do. And not to mention that really you're going over on Thanksgiving night to do fucking homework. That is not a good cover. Like, at all. Like, you could have literally been like, I was starving. You were passed out drunk. They have food.
Here's Thanksgiving dinner.
I know, and I was like, just take him a plate, man. Like, it wouldn't have mattered. He would have been like, oh, shit, all right.
Yeah.
And left you alone, you know?
Take him
Instead,
a
he
You
was
can't be mad if people are bringing you food.
Instead, he was like, you better not be dead or I'm going to beat your ass. Get up.
I know. He smacks her twice. And he's like, where were you? And she's like, nowhere. Like, which obviously she'd just come home. So she was somewhere. But
the other thing about it, though, too, is she's had a whole bunch of holes in her story because they're like, I was at the library studying. I'm like, a library studying on fucking Thanksgiving night?
Yeah, but I'm just assuming she thought that her dad wouldn't know what day it was either way. So
yeah, that could be it.
But she gets shoved down the stairs and has a seizure from the looks of it. A mild one. It wasn't. It wasn't that.
Hey, this was Kristy Swanson's first acting role.
It was.
Okay, this is her debut. All right, so she doesn't know how to fake a seizure to death, I guess. So.
But I love how
a seasoned actor.
Not one person is like, this dude murdered his daughter. Like, not one person. Not the mom, like you guys said. Nobody was like... Because even the doctors later on, when they're talking over her, like, scans and whatnot, they're like, oh, by the looks of it, more than just fall down the stairs. And I'm like, somebody, any adult here, say
Another
something.
thing that should have freaking tipped them off, too, is the fact that the dad was nowhere to be seen once she got to the hospital.
Yeah.
Because Paul and his mom were the ones waiting in the waiting room, and her dad was nowhere to be seen. Like, shouldn't that have tipped him off? Be like, isn't the dad concerned for his daughter at least one bit?
He was in the hospital chapel, just passed out. They were like, nobody will bother.
He found the communion.
And I love how the doctors were like, yeah, if we don't stop that hemorrhaging soon, like it's going to be she's a goner. And they're like, all right, well, let's just wait for Dr. Greenberg then.
He's on his way. Like, no, you guys start. You get started.
Yeah,
and
like, let him join you already in progress, you know? Like,
oh.
Let Paul do something, man. He's smarter than both of you. We already know this. Like,
yeah, but then
he's able to do fucking ventriloquist tricks with the fucking cadavers already. So
well, Paul lets that be known too. When the doctor comes out and is like, "Look, we've lost her. She's brain dead." Paul's like, "What the fuck? I've got like 12 things I could try right now."
Yeah, he's like,
you know, so mad.
I know. He's like, all the experimental shit we're doing is for nothing if you don't save my girlfriend. She was gonna let me do something.
I was gonna get to second base. Things were gonna happen.
I have full access to my attic.
Like, this is bullshit.
My mom never even comes in my room. Oh, poor Sam is brain dead, and Paul is mad.
This to me is where the movie started. Like, I can see where now the studio interference came in, because it went from one movie to a completely different movie. Because what? Paul decides, oh, I'm going to put a microchip in her brain, which first
Paul drugs his mom, talks his friend into stealing some keys to a hospital.
I know.
And then steals a dead body.
I know. I'm like, you're gonna kill this bitch. Like, that's a lot of shit, man.
He straight drugs his mom with a full baggie of powder, like a little baggie. So much he had to he couldn't even get it all in one like.
I know it's like when you put powder in like liquid like that, and then it's like there's so much that there's just like an island of powder that stays there. Like that's literally what happened in this. And I'm like, and she doesn't notice while she's pouring like coffee and shit or the pie or whatever. Like,
oh, he drugs his mom. She passes out.
And then it just cuts to them trying to learn how to drive on the way to the fucking hospital.
Paul learns how to drive on the way to the hospital.
And I'm like, did you check at least to see if she was breathing before you guys left? Otherwise, you might as well steal 2 cadavers right now because you're going to have to do something about mom.
But Paul gets up there, he steals her body, and even after, like, the whole plan was to steal her body before they pulled the life support so he could get everything set up and she would still be alive. But they don't get that chance because they go forward a little early because the dad's basically get out of here.
Because the coroner's like, I don't want to wait till 10. I'm going to bed. I'll be there at 9. Yeah. We're pulling the plug and I'm going home.
They decided to move everything up, an hour earlier. So now they had a half hour to do all of this shit.
Yeah, so he had to learn how to drive the love bus in half an hour to the university hospital so he can go steal his girlfriend.
Yeah, her body, her dead body.
He just wanted her body.
And how shitty was the security at this freaking hospital where they can allow a freaking body to be stolen?
No, well, I know.
Okay, well,
they
did.
In and out. That kid got in and out.
They did pull the fire alarm, or didn't they?
No, they turned the power off.
Okay, yeah, but they turned the power off, so it was like I wrote down, I'm like that one nurse with a gorgeous like rocket mullet. Like,
oh yeah, she did have a gorgeous mullet.
She turned around like, well, she's dead. It's not like she's going anywhere. So they just left her like, fuck it, we'll go out to the parking lot.
Mm-hmm. But even when Tom gets, I find it so funny when because Tom's just freaking out. Poor Tom.
Yeah.
Poor Tom. He is just.
I know, he had that scene where he's like, are you fucking kidding me?
I know. He's just all over the place. And Paul's just like, you owe me. You got BB killed. Because it was his idea to go to Mama Fratelli's house.
Well, it's true.
And it was Tom's.
It's a $20,000 robot.
Poor Tom. He didn't know what he was getting into. He just wanted to befriend a child genius with a robot. That's all he wanted.
Or whatever, man.
But anyway, Tom's like, I'm going to throw up. And Paul's like, throw up later. We don't have time.
I know the whole second half of the movie is just Tom nearly passing out and hitting the floor a lot.
No, Tom passes out.
He passes out when they put the
twice.
chip.
He passes out twice.
No, but he passes out when he puts the chip in later, and then later after Mama Fratelli dies and all that. That's what he just like falls to the floor. He full
again. Like goats just over, like, just goat faints over. Just stops in the middle of everything and passes
old guy
out.
Like, all right, boy.
Yep. Oh. But they get the chip into Sam's brain with the help of Tom
BB
and BB's brain.
Oh, no. Like I said, this is where I think it's clear to see that this is where the studio decided where they were going to change everything. Because this is where the movie just went from, again, like I said, from one to another because everything just went batshit crazy.
Yep, it goes from 0 to 100, folks, is when we get into it. And I have to say that before things really get crazy, and I was really concerned for Kristy Swanson's safety in the one scene where they've done
dragging her?
Yes, when they're carrying her bitch ass around. I'm like, they're throwing her head around. She's gonna fucking have neck damage. These two children cannot lift her clearly because they're just tossing this bitch around.
Please don't go through that door. You're gonna knock something.
I know. There's a couple times where I'm like, they've almost hit her head on stuff.
I'm like, there's gonna be a real seizure. Like,
yes,
it's gonna be like, oh, there you go. Now she's got it down. Oh shit.
So they get her into the shed and they walk back into the living room, and fucking Tom, poor Tom, he's just standing there. He's like, don't go in there.
You're all dead, dude.
You killed your mom. Don't go in the living room. You killed her.
I told you there's too much in there.
He's just having a panic attack through the whole movie. Poor
He's
Tom.
like, oh shit.
I know.
He's like, I am an accessory to all of this.
Well, he had no friends. It was like, I'm in it now. This is my only friend, and my other only friend is dead.
And I love when
I want to point out that the scene when Paul comes back to the Love Bus and he's got Tom waiting for him, and he's like, oh, it was too late, and they get in. He's like, well, why do we have her? You know, she's dead. And Paul has that mini freak out. He's like, I couldn't just fucking leave her there or whatever. That to me is like, that is one of the epitomes of Craven's original idea, is that he had his vision was like to Paul and have like a weird, almost like obsession with Sam. And like, so it was the shitty people and Paul and her weird relationship was the original kind of idea for the whole movie. And I could see that glimpse there, especially in that Paul scene where he's like, just flips out.
Yeah, he flips out.
Yeah,
it was, and it's out of place when you watch, this version of it and be like, whoa, where did that come from, kind of thing. And I think there's probably so much that we don't even see that was cut. So again, Craven cut.
Yeah, we need a Craven cut. But I love when Paul's mom wakes up and she's like, what are you guys doing? And he's like, we're just fooling around. And they're both standing there breathing heavy, all sweaty. I was like, like fooling around?
Yes.
Like, what did mom think was happening?
The last half of the movie is just Tom passing out or falling on the floor and Paul just sweaty as shit.
Yep.
Freaking out over everything.
I love how Tom's like, are we even now? Can I go home? I just want to leave. I've committed so many felonies.
Go home.
I just
I don't want to
go.
be an accessory anymore. I can do plausible deniability. I just don't want to be a part of this no more.
Oh, but then
I love when the cops show up outside and Paul's just like, I'm just gonna go to bed. Like he just runs upstairs, like books it past his mom, who's like, what the fuck's going on?
I love when he hears it though, and he like runs in and he's shutting all the doors and closing the curtains, and he's sneaking, and then just to go to the window to look outside.
Yeah, just your plain head, like not even like sneakily looking, like you're just there, like staring out,
into
like, fuck, what do they know?
These kids have not been nosy, like and sneaky been nosy, like.
But now he realizes BB Sam has to be taught everything.
Wait. He dressed her ass.
He did, yeah.
He had to. She was in the gown, man.
Yeah.
Perverts.
Yep. Zombie BB Sam.
Maybe.
Has to learn how to sit up again.
Why did her eyes turn black?
I don't know. Why were there blue around her?
That was their So that's how you know she was dead, all right?
That's how you know she's a zombie.
She was like the half woman in Beetlejuice on the couch. She had that blue shit, I guess.
There we go.
So she was a zombie. She was a zombie android. I don't know. She's not really a robot though. She's just got the chip.
Yeah, it's just a chip.
So it's just the chip. Then what's powering the chip? I have so many questions.
The brain activity, I think, is what they explained it away with. Like if there's any activity, if there's a spark or anything, it'll.
Well, yeah, but he said that it'll repair the bad parts, and that'll bring like actual Sam back, which starts to happen at the end or whatever. But I'm like, if you have the remote off, does that mean like she can't breathe and shit? Like the body,
know.
like
that's what I don't get.
Like like you turn her off, so she's just decaying more. So it's like when you have her on, like it'll pump everything, and her flesh will be something at least. But I don't know. Lots of questions.
We have questions.
Oh, but BB Sam sees that her murderer, her father, is just right outside the window. So she stands there and has murder in her eyes for her dad.
Oh my god! and BB Sam permanently has the clamps.
She does.
I love that she's like
clamp hands.
Clamps. She does that weird robot like Vulcan clamps.
Yes,
thing, like,
Vulcan-y clamps.
I must murder Dad.
And hey, for playing a zombie android robot.
And to her credit, like she had to go from one movie that Wes Craven wanted to a second movie that the studio wanted to then it got cut into a third movie that she had no fucking clue about. So, so she had a rough go on her first try. So it worked out for her, obviously. So good for her.
Yeah, but then BBC.
Talk about your first movie, though. You're right. To her credit.
Right.
Because it's like you sign up for this, the director wants this, the studio wants this, and then when you finally see the movie, you're like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, it's so much so that the director and one of the writers were like, yep, don't even want my name on this. So fuck that. You guys have fun with that one.
Maybe. But then BB Sam gets revenge on her dad, and she tricks him with the breadcrumbs of booze.
I love that. Hey, BB's constantly learning. He's like, he scanned the area. He's like, all right, this guy's a booze hound. Then we just one well-placed trap, and we are done.
Oh, and then she snaps his neck, and you need to hear a good crunch, a good crunchy snap.
That was a good sound effects there. So good on that Foley artist.
Yeah.
I told Kim as soon as he got down to the basement, I was like, "Is he gonna have a Freddy death?" Because you see the furnace,
the furnace going,
the burner. I'm like, he's gonna have a Freddy death. And I'm like, when she killed him, that was like, oh, I guess not.
Yeah,
well, she technically kind of did because he had a burnt face. She burnt his face.
Well,
with
she
nothing
burns
but.
his face after she snaps his neck. So
yeah, that she did.
But I love how Paul finds out and he finds her and he just naturally hides the body. He just starts hiding bodies.
Like, see, which lends to the whole creepy relationship thing.
Yes.
So yeah,
because up until this point, he's just been a normal boy genius who has a robot like every other 80s movie. Like it doesn't get weird until this spot.
Yeah. That's when it gets weird for you.
Yeah. Well, and then when he steals a body and all that shit, but but then BB Sam goes back for the basketball.
Oh,
basketball's mine, bitch.
This was my favorite scene of the whole movie because it is so ridiculous,
over the top, and
this was actually
what we see.
Okay, so this was actually one of the reshoots that they had to do the second time around or whatever. Well, they did one round of reshoots, and then, like I said, the third version of the movie is what we actually see. That was all studio shit, right? So in the IMDb trivia, it was saying that she's like, I felt I threw that basketball like over 100 times for that shot, and because Wes Craven kept going like, no, you got to make it faster, throw it faster. So yeah, rough shoot for Kristy Swanson on her first go.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that I thought of after I saw what they did, and if you don't know what we're talking about. BB Sam, whatever you want to call her, the basketball that they ended up losing earlier in the movie, she ends up getting and chucking it right at Mama Fratelli's head, and her giant head blows up.
It splatters like a watermelon.
It goes everywhere. Think of Gallagher, what he does to the watermelons. Mm-hmm. That's what happens to her head. The thing that
Go ahead.
The thing that cracked me up, and I don't know if you noticed it, is when the body started running around. I'm like, there is a midget.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
you thing running around.
You could see the head sticking out of the side. Like it was almost like the top part fell to the side, and the only thing was holding it up was like the head poking out of the side of the robe or whatever.
You know what got me going at this scene from the very beginning? You hear that basketball sound like from Scary Movie 2, and I couldn't stop myself from just like with the basketball. I was like, yes. And then it's so quick because she throws the ball. Mama Fratelli's head, Gallagher's all over the place. And then you just got this body like a chicken with his head cut off, just running around.
It's Mama Fratelli with her head cut off.
It's Mama Fratelli with her head cut off, and it's just blood's gushing everywhere. And it's so slapstick, and it's just amazing.
According to the trivia, she said in an interview at some point that the props guys went to a local butcher shop and got cow's brains to load Mama Fratelli's head. So there's actual brains in there.
Nice.
Yeah. The thing about that scene before it happened, Kim told me that she had seen the death, so she knew what was going to happen. I told her, do not tell me what happens because I don't want this ruined.
Well, I think everyone's seen that GIF around.
Yeah,
I've definitely seen that scene in like the GIF in places, but I've never seen the movie until then because I had, and again, no clue that it was there was BB. I knew it was like robotics and that's what happened to Sam or whatever, but no clue BB existed.
Yeah, I had no clue either. And then we get another dream sequence, like right after the Mama Fratelli scene. And I'm like, is Sam's dad a dream demon now? Because like he's just haunting people's dreams.
I wrote down Paul gets a little head.
Yeah, because Dad's head shows up.
Because it was Wes Craven, it gave me the nightmare vibe. Because I'm like,
yeah.
Because you see that, you don't know what it is, and all of a sudden you see the head. I'm like, holy crap, it's Freddy's head. I'm like, oh wait, never mind.
Yeah, I guess we could have called Mama Fratelli Elvira since her name was Elvira Parker in the movie. I don't know why we didn't really call her
Mama
Elvira.
Fratelli. Yeah, she's Mama Fratelli.
Mama Fratelli.
Yeah, I wrote Tom goat faints again.
Yes.
Because he goat faints when he finds out that Mama Fratelli is dead.
Yeah, there was that scene where Paul goes to the fridge and he drops the glass and all that, and there's a weird ketchup bottle in the fridge in the background. It's just weird. I just wanted to point that out. And it also looked like Paul peed himself after he dropped it when the mom came down. Because like I don't know, was it supposed to be like the milk he spilled on himself?
I guess.
Or did he pee himself? Because he was like his thigh was
wet. He got scared.
Maybe Sam scared the shit out of him. Mm-hmm. Or
scared the pee out of him.
Maybe. Okay,
the next note I have is the mirror helps BB Sam become self-aware.
Yeah, I wrote down. No one taught this poor girl how to put makeup on, and Sam and Mirror, BB's figured it out. BB has identity crisis.
Yeah, BB becomes self-aware. BB Sam's sad.
BB Sam's sad.
Yes.
Well, isn't it after Mama Fratelli's death that what's-his-face Paul realizes he's got to put her somewhere else because she keeps getting out of the, what is it, that weird little side garage thing, whatever that
the
thing
garage.
Yeah, I think that's when he puts her up in the attic at that point.
Yeah, he puts her in the attic and be like, don't leave. Don't leave.
Don't leave. But then Tom's about to crack. Tom's had enough. Tom's like, we have to tell.
I think it's funny when you have movies like this, when it's like the person calls and is like, I'm going to tell.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you just tell them?
Yeah, just tell.
Like, it probably took you like more to call and make this call to tell the other dude, like, I'm going to tell, than it would to be like, look, this is what happened. And you just tell somebody.
I know. And Paul's like, no, let me explain. Just come over and talk to me. But then Paul beats the shit out of Tom. Or no, wait, BB Sam beats the shit out of Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah, BB Sam is like, fuck you, Tom, beats the shit out of him. Yeah. And then strangles Paul.
And then I think that's when the third movie starts.
Yes.
When BB takes that nosedive out of the fucking window. I wrote down BB set to kill.
Yes.
Who does she jump out the window to?
I think it's
tries to get Paul because what is it?
I think Paul and Tom are fighting again. They go out to the lawn or whatever because Tom's trying to leave now that the mom showed up. The mom showed up and like, where the fuck you been?
Yeah.
And then Tom tries to leave, and that's when like they start fighting on the lawn or whatever. And then she just jumps out and like tackles them or whatever.
Yeah, okay, that's right. And then she strangles Paul, and then hesitates because she sees it's Paul, and then she just fucking books it. I'm like, where's this bitch going?
I know.
She's just running. She's just running.
She's just taking the clamps out for a spin on the night.
And then
I feel like that whole last sequence where she's running around, like it's almost like a werewolf sequence.
It's
where it's
so
like,
weird.
Where you're like trying to catch the werewolf in town and like, keep it from going anywhere. Like imagine like American Werewolf in London, like the ending of that, but it was like she's a weird teenager that doesn't know how to put makeup on.
Yeah, and throughout this whole like third act, so much shit happens. Carl, the baddie, comes back. BB's vision starts clearing up.
Carl comes back, and this time he's got his Rambo jacket on.
Yes.
And he's rolling around with his dirt bikes. I'm like, this is straight Rambo now. Like,
the whole time, BB Sam is just...
So Carl has the identity crisis, actually.
Yes, he does. But BB Sam is just running the streets going, BB.
The part where Kristy Swanson actually had to move her mouth towards BB.
Yes, I love it. With her robotic hands as she's stalking the city.
The clamps.
Yes. It's amazing.
Baby.
To give her credit, once she had that thing, she just didn't break that. She had her arms bent at that 90-degree angle with the weird Vulcan clamp thing, and to her credit, she stuck with that.
Well, I think you definitely had to have it that way because then when, she started to have glimpses of, Sam being herself or whatever at the end, then she kind of, had like a normal posture and her hands were normal. So it was probably, either a director's choice or her choice as an actor. Be like, well, this is the best way for me to do it, I guess. Because I'm 16 and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. It's my first movie.
I'm a stupid
and my arm hurts
old.
from throwing that basketball 100 times.
Yeah.
Getting fucking cow brains all over me.
Yeah, but then BB Sam
Hollywood
gets death by cop.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
death by cop. But then we're not done yet because fucking Paul's back to sneaking into hospitals for fucking BB Sam.
Or is he?
Nobody knows because he
Question
gets to the morgue. BB Sam is there, but she's a skeleton now, but is also a robot and snaps his neck. I don't know.
I know that is my question too. Like, and I think I had the same question in Upgrade, but like, would you be stronger just because of this chip? Because when she breaks her dad's like wrist, like she bends it back in half. Like she basically makes the back of his hand touch the forearm when she breaks his hand or whatever. And I'm like,
that's the thing that I didn't get either.
Yeah, like, would you be stronger? Like, I don't think that there's something that would make that happen.
No, and even if you are stronger, your bones aren't going to become an exoskeleton at some point just because you have a fucking chip in your brain.
You're still limited to human anatomy and muscles and everything. So I don't know. Maybe like we said, I think we said maybe the electronic pulses, like they just, I don't know, something. There could maybe be something, but who knows? Or maybe BB just knew the angles.
It's hard for me to buy, though, because you're right. Like, I mean, you have a chip in your head, but muscle memory, you would think, wouldn't allow you to do things you wouldn't be able to normally do.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, what? Because even though it was a horror movie and all that stuff, I mean, when she turned into the weird endo-exoskeleton thing, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
I know. I half thought it was going to be a dream and Paul was going to wake up and then, like, that was going to be the end of the movie. But I was like, okay, is Paul going to wake up in jail because he stole a body?
Like, maybe that was a dream.
He performed science on the body. Like, there's got to be some rules that you're not allowed to do that.
Originally,
I feel like the ending was incomplete. Because we all think that, or all felt that the ending was kind of like a dream sequence. Because, again, it's weird for me to fathom that all of a sudden that this microchip is going to turn your body into a weird robotic endo-exoskeleton or whatever it is that you want to call it.
I think that was clearly a dream sequence. And whatever Craven had planned the first time and even second time around was completely ignored, I feel. Because, I mean, even when we saw it, we're like, okay, wait, what? Like, I originally thought that he was going in and was like, I need to get this chip out so they don't know that it was me or something. Like, I thought he was just going in to cover his ass, get the chip out, and get the fuck out of there. But then when the whole when the whole shit went down, I was like, we both like kind of looked at each other like, what?
I know.
Like, what the hell
so
is
confused.
This?
I was like, okay, I guess.
So yeah, I can totally see how Craven's like, yeah, fuck that shit. That's not mine.
But that's the end of the movie. And I'll go first on final thoughts this week. I love this movie. This movie makes no sense. But you know what's really fun about this movie? All the scenes that Craven himself shot. All the blood and gore that he himself put into this movie. It doesn't need to make sense. You can see his work. You can see the scenes set up. It's gorgeous. Everything is the way he would have made it. The story just doesn't make sense is all. But it's a fun time. You're not going to need to pay attention much because you're not going to know what the fuck is going on either way. So give it a watch, I say. It's a good time.
All right. So this movie, it's all over the place. I kind of agree with what Angie said. It's a fun movie. You really don't have to really understand what's going on to enjoy this movie. It's all over the place. If you do what we did and do the research as far as reading back on what it was supposed to initially be, I would love to see a Craven cut, but for what this movie was, it was a giant jumbled mess. But it was a good giant jumbled mess because it was just all over the place. It was over the top, a weird, fun movie. So give it the one watch, knowing that it's one of Wes Craven's few movies where he does not take, where he did honestly pretty much because he did not like how this movie ended up turning up. But knowing that it's a Wes Craven movie, go in there watching it. Don't expect much, and you'll have a whole bunch of fun watching it.
I just want to point out that this stunt double for Kristy Swanson in the whole, running scene, she turned around so many times. Like she was hopping over cars and like she kept turning around. I'm like, why are you turning around? Like you're clearly a 45-year-old woman. Like stop.
Knock it off.
With a horrible wig.
Horrible wig. I was like, why is it gray?
Yeah, it doesn't even look like Kristy Swanson's hair.
That's not even like blonde. That's like an ash blonde. That's like a grayish color. Like I don't get it.
That's what they had. Props for props, man. They're like, well, we have this wig.
Everybody gave their life for this movie.
They sent this wig over from Blood Rage from one of the. It was Terry's or was it Todd's?
I don't remember.
There you go.
It was one of theirs. But I'm Terry. Yeah.
Hey, we got a Thanksgiving in this movie too.
This is true.
Yeah.
All right. So I thought this movie was a lot of fun, and it really is. And just know that if you're a Wes Craven fan, know that the history behind it. He wanted one thing, and his original vision was shitty adults, weird relationship between Paul and Sam, and you see those elements in there. The studio did a test screening. The fans that were Wes Craven fans didn't like it. I think they wanted more gore. So the studio said, let's add more gore. They did that, then fucked everything up after that. So you see the elements that are Craven. You see the gore scenes that he did. He worked with a writer, and they reshot them to add to the original movie like the studio wanted. You see his aspects in there. You see his work, his detail in all the gore scenes, in the dream scenes, in the gore scenes, and everything in there. So know that you'll get some Craven-esque features out of this movie, but know that it's batshit crazy, and you can blame Warner Brothers for whatever the hell that ending is. So go into it knowing it's batshit crazy and you're going to have a lot of fun, but don't expect more than that. But I do have to say, I think this movie could be remade today in Wes Craven's original thing. Because I think if you amp up the shittiness of the parents and of the doctor and kind of really creep out the factor of Paul and Sam, maybe, their relationship is a lot more creepy. I think this movie would work a lot better today with what I think Craven was really going for originally. So I'd be on board with a new Deadly Friend.
Sure.
If you wouldn't, I want it to stay away from being like, Upgrade 2 kind of thing. I don't think it needs to be that.
No, I think you could take it. You could take it the same.
You could
route.
take it in the same route, amp it up, and make it gory, but not be all computery too much like Upgrade. I mean, 'cause Upgrade's a good movie, but I don't want this to be Upgrade 2. Basically, if they redid this one,
a knockoff Upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, it needs to be its own thing, but kind of in the same realm, I guess, because you're kind of dealing with the same shit. But I think a creepy genius 16-year-old who's probably never had friends and stuff. All the elements that he was trying to really amp up here, and it was like his first kiss, that whole thing, and the fact that after she died, he was so like, we need to bring her back. So I think you really amp up those things today and make it creepy and really good and gory. Lore and gore and technology.
Technology.
Yes.
Well, I think that's it for this week. We are coming back in September with our September sequels month.
I think,
Is that what we called it? Yeah.
September shitty sequels.
Our September shitty sequels month is what we're doing. We have some things in the works for you guys for our September shitty sequels month.
But if you have any suggestions for September shitty sequels, we don't want good sequels.
No, we want shitty sequels.
We want, I love this movie, but the sequel's so bad. That's the movie we want. So if you have any suggestions, give us the September shitty sequels. We've got a couple in our mind.
Yes. You can email us those suggestions at podcast@scarynerd.com. You can also reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can check out more horror entertainment news by going to scarynerd.com. You can support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/scarynerd. And that is everything for this week. We will see you guys next week. Anything else?
The robot actually cost $20,000 to build.
Holy fucking shit.
And it could actually...
That's like 80s money.
Okay,
yeah.
The BB robot cost over $20,000 to build. Wes Craven used a company called Robotics 21. His eyes were constructed from two 1950 camera lenses, a garage remote control unit, and a radio antenna taken from a Corvette. BB could actually lift 750 pounds in weight.
Holy fuck.
I want to know where BB is now.
Right? What happened to BB?
They took him apart and made Johnny Five.
Well, if you guys know where BB is, email us at podcast@scarynerd.com.
If you happen to be a random collector that has BB, just send us a
video
or something.
A picture.
Give us a shout out.
All right, guys. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.